In the home stretch of getting this thing ready for the DE, we really just have, well, some buttoning up of some things. Need to get the rest of the front suspension on, control arms, tie rods, wheel bearings. Need to get the brakes rebuilt, finish that project up, and then I can get the hydraulic system all plumbed together, which then means I can test out all of the manual transmission swap stuff. Still don't have the struts and shocks and springs, but those things should be here this week. I've got one more weekend to get this thing knocked out, so hopefully that stuff arrives and I can get this thing all together, back on the ground and aligned. Exhaust, a couple other little things to wrap up, but gonna go ahead and start cracking into this thing, get the final pieces together so that Carrie can get this baby on track. Got a whole bunch of stuff to get on the front end of this car, as the whole front end is pretty much assembled. So refreshing some things, fresh wheel bearing, went ahead and got studs installed on that, fresh tie rod. I have the old tie rod here because what I'm gonna do is actually match it up to get a ballpark length, just so that I'm somewhat close within alignment and not way far out. Important to not count the threads because you may have a different manufacturer, and some people want to count, oh, there are 10 threads showing, I'm going to set this one with 10 threads showing. Well, maybe there are a different amount of threads per different manufacturer of tie rods, so just line them up and then roughly set the length. Got to align the car anyways, but just trying to get in a ballpark. Fresh rotor, caliper that we just rebuilt. Got BimmerWorld Delrin centered front control arm bushing. I would typically run our track cab front control arm bushing setup, but this is legal for the class. The track cab is not. Need to retain the stock lollipop. So this important piece to help keep the front end tight. Fresh Mila HD control arm. I've got the old control arm here just so that you can see. These factory non-M control arms have these rubber isolated outer ball joints that kind of have some movement in them. These Mila arms are a metal ball joint. They're HD line, which means this is a more solid solution, really better for street or track, longer lasting. Love the Mila HD line stuff. What else do we have here? BimmerWorld stainless brake lines. These things are going to go on all four corners. These definitely help improve the pedal feel by getting rid of those rubber hoses that kind of expand a little bit under hard braking. And I'm also going to add the BimmerWorld insulated sleeve on the end next to the caliper. Something that some people think, well, I put stainless brake lines on my car, now I don't ever have to change my brake lines again. That is false. These still do time out. They have a life on them. And what happens is the Teflon inside starts to break down after a while, especially when exposed to a lot of heat. And guess what? A caliper produces a lot of heat. So when you put these insulation sleeves around next to the on the brake line next to the caliper, it really helps prolong the life of the brake line. So this is an important piece that is not just a gimmick. I know some people think this is just a gimmick, but it is not, and does help prolong the life of the brakes, prolong the life of the brake lines. PFC pads going on this thing. Well, I guess now I don't need to just look at some parts, and now it's time to actually start getting some parts on the front end of this car. Got this nearly all together up front here, control arm in, everything's tight. Of course, missing the strut, but wanted to show something with this brake line. A common question we get is what to do with this little washer that comes with the brake line. People think this is a sealing washer or something. No, really, this is just a washer that goes around the female side of the brake line to then give this something other than the hex to mate against the flange where these things meet the hard line. So that's all that does. Just a little shim to give it a little bit more surface area to mate against the brackets for the hard lines. Gonna tighten this down and get the other side wrapped up, and then do a brake bleed and see what we got on this thing. One other note, the anti-rattle clip is not missing. That is intentionally not there because when you do the solid brass guide bushings, you need this thing to be able to move freely, and that bracket or anti-rattle clip can cause a little bit of binding and twist to not allow the caliper to move quite as freely. So we remove that bracket, do not reinstall that when using the solid brass guide bushings. Feeling pretty solid on today's progress. Everything is pretty much set with the suspension aside from the dampers, and brakes are on. Everything is together, not leaking after the brake rebuild, so that's a good sign. Everything's bled. Clutch system is bled. The clutch pedal is functioning properly. So time to get the exhaust on. We got the BimmerWorld MagnaFlow 3-inch race exhaust that we're going to put on this thing, and then fire it up and make sure that everything actually does function properly. Obviously can't put it on the ground yet because we don't have the rest of the suspension pieces, but gonna go through the paces while it's in the air. Water. I haven't added water to the system yet, so we'll go over that as well before we fire it up. But I'm going to go ahead and crack these boxes open, get the exhaust on, get the water into the cooling system, and then we'll fire this thing up and see what happens. To hit a little overview of the system, we got the Y pipe up here with its equal length routing, then goes into the rest of the system, which starts here at this elbow. Everything has nice little V-bands with these slip joints to make life easy for installation and removal. We also have an extra center section, so straight pipe, and then a resonated section in case you go to tracks where there may be a decibel limit to help keep it tamed down a little bit. I am going to start getting this thing in the car. Most people know the trick of raising the front of the car for bleeding the cooling system and filling the car with the front raised, but not as many people know the trick of backfilling the cooling system. This really is a trick that works well on E36s and E46s. You undo the upper radiator hose and then fill here. I'm going to start by filling with some water wetter. Backfilling the system really helps reduce the chances of bubbles, which always seem to be an issue in these things. And then I'll go ahead and move to filling the rest from the expansion tank. Pretty exciting. Cooling system is filled, oil is changed, topped off, brakes are bled, clutch is bled, driveline is all together, exhaust is on. It's feeling like it's time to fire this thing up and do a function check while it's still in the air and make sure everything actually works. See if the clutch works, make sure everything actually spins and moves and doesn't have any problems. So I guess without further ado, time to fire this thing up, make sure it shifts through the gears, and then we'll wait for the suspension and get the rest of this thing wrapped up. I hope I don't have any other issues, but actually have a little bit of time to knock out any issues that do remain as a little bit ahead of schedule. So that's awesome.
Computer says 9. Computer says 9.
All right, it's not firing up. I'm pretty sure I know why. Probably because I'm an idiot and didn't even think about the automatic park gear selector switch thing not registering to the ECU that it is no longer there. So I need to retrace my steps, figure out what I need to do to bypass that so that I can get this baby fired up. So I'm an idiot and need to bypass the neutral safety switch. Shocker. That is very simple. And just right here from this connector, going to cut this green one and this brown one and then splice them together just to bypass it. All right, let's try this again. Sounds like a little bit of an exhaust leak, so I need to fix that, but everything fires up. We actually can shift through the gears and it functions. So that's going to call it a day for right now. Got to clean up a big chunk of this stuff, but that is big, big progress. All right, we're going to make it. Well, one of the last pieces of the puzzle has finally arrived. We have the ground control suspension package here. This is a Coney package / ground control that ground control puts together. This is actually, if you haven't figured out what class this car is going to run in yet, this is the Spec E36 suspension package. So this car is pretty much being built to the rule set of Spec E36. That's the class that Carrie is going to go racing in. Hopefully we'll get this thing caged over the winter, and that's what she's going to be having fun in with some Spec E36 friends with BWCCA guys next season. This system does come fully assembled. These are Coney adjustable shocks. As you can see, got some little Coney adjusters right there. These are spec rates, so these rates you cannot choose. They are the rates specifically for the Spec E36 class. Got the beautiful ground control camber plates, ground control rear shock mounts, height adjusters, these strut bodies they put together for this Coney package. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this system does on track. These plates do have a engraving on, say, passenger with a directional arrow to the front. Makes it nice and easy to not get this mixed up. I'd be lying if I said I didn't mix it up before though. Don't over torque these nuts. People over torque these things all the time and pull the studs, strip the studs out of the reinforcement plate on the bottom. They don't need to be that tight. Beautiful. This is on, one corner done. Now about to move to the rear. I did find some sway links, by the way, had some in the spares bins. So good on sway links. Now let's move on to get a shock. Back here. Got some rear bits and pieces here. This is the spring perch. This captures from the bottom of that. Let's go ahead and just show you what we got going on here. If I can do this with one hand. All right. So that, get my light on. We'll set around there, and then this bolts in. Oh. Come under there, keeps it all secure. Maybe you can see that. I don't know. Or hope you can, because I just put my phone on the floor. If I could thread this in. All right, I'll get that tightened down and then get the spring in and then get a shock on. Spring isolator to go up top. All right, rear shock. I'm gonna put the reinforcement plate in from the top with those studs facing down. Let's get some wheels and tires on this baby. Alignment knocked out. I'm going to clean this up. Going to get the front up because I need to actually install this SSI under panel for the front area under the front bumper. Some of the coverings and whatnot were torn apart, so going to use that thick plastic SSI under panel that is pretty robust and helps protect and replace a bunch of the components that are pretty commonly worn out on the front of an E36. So I'm going to get that on. I torqued the front hubs. Now I need to actually stake them in place, but I need to get the wheels off for that. And I think I got one other thing to do before I can go take it for a test drive. One final piece of the puzzle to this thing before I go take it for a test drive is the battery. Don't sleep on the battery. You may know I got this thing as a non-running car and suspected possible fuel pump, possible crank position sensor, but the battery was weak. It was cranking over. It was cranking over fine actually. Then I put a jump box on it, cranked over fine still. But I thought, let me put a different battery from a different car. So I routed battery from a different car, put it in here, and voila, it started up and hasn't had any issues firing up since then. So it's not just if your car cranks over. I mean, the battery is an important piece of the puzzle to supply voltage to so many things in the car. So I am now going to put an H5, as we just released this little bracket that is a DIN -1 bracket that allows what an H6 normally is in this car, allows it to go to an H5. So a little bit smaller battery, but going to put one of these Optima H5s in here, and then time to take this thing for a test drive. So this is the bracket here, and slide this thing all the way up. Oh, it's tough to see. But then that bolts into the factory location where that smaller bracket normally is and secures this down. On the other side over here is a lip that's secured, so it keeps it from rocking back and forth and coming up. Well, I'd be lying if I say I wasn't a little bit nervous. You do this much stuff to a car and you go take it for a test drive, teething pains are sort of to be expected. I think we're pretty much well sorted, but want to make sure at least go up and down the parking lot side road over here that we've got next to my house and just make sure that everything is all good before taking to the track. Obviously, you won't really stress it out the same way just taking it up and down a side road, but it's at least a function test of things. So let's see what we got. We're moving. The brakes feel so much better. I had Carrie help me bleed the brakes again. I did twice with the pressure bleeder and then decided to do another time with Carrie and still got a bunch more bubbles out because it was just super soft. When we got this car, it was like it took all the way down to the pedal before it would do anything. All right, we're actually working. Driving through my field, heading to a parking lot. All right, this thing's feeling pretty good. I'm really excited. The steering wheel is a little bit crooked, so I didn't hit the steering exactly straight, so I need to work on that, just twist it over a little bit. But I think this thing's gonna be awesome. I'm stoked. Just a little bit of cleanup, wrap-up work to do, and then this baby's going on track in about a week. Less than a week. Ooh. Well, we made it out here with the E36. Carrie, unfortunately, is running behind as she has to deal with a bit of a sick puppy, so she is on her way though. However, while the weather has made a little break, I am about to take this thing out and see what it does on track. Give it a little shakedown run. A little nervous, a lot excited, as obviously just put a bunch of work into this thing to get it ready. Now, see what all that work does and how this future Spec E36 race car handles. Well, still not a race car, still needs a cage. Gonna slide around the stock seats a little bit, but that's all right. Gonna go feel this thing out, see what happens.
6 hours later.
All right, Phil, how did the day go for Carrie's E36 project track car Spec E36?
Spec E36, yes, we are calling this a Spec E36 now, so it is officially dubbed that. All right, today was pretty good. I was driving the M2 a little bit, but Carrie couldn't get down here until a little later today, because
we had a sick puppy dog, and she had to stay at the vet last night, so I was a little delayed in getting here.
Yeah, you didn't get down here till like 2 or 3 or something, so.
We got old lady doggy drama.
Yeah. I, however, did take it out for a session earlier, and honestly, the car felt really good. I was a little bit nervous, but excited, just given how much that we just did to this thing, so wasn't sure how it would do, but man, it felt pretty good. It's underpowered, overweight, but I think we have the right recipe for getting this thing going. And then Carrie arrived, and I took her for a ride before she was gonna hop in. She's like, "Hey, let me see how it feels." And yeah, how'd that go?
Well, Phil broke it.
Oh, there it is. There it is. I did break it.
I walked over and they're just chatting in the car. I'm like, hey, are you aware that you're actively leaking water right now pretty fast?
Yeah, Pat just walks over. I'm like, hey, Pat, what are you doing? And because we were about to swap out and Carrie was going to go drive it. And yeah, that was pouring buckets of water out from the underside. The expansion tank and expansion tank cap relationship were not very happy together. So fortunately, we have a bunch of E36 friends in the paddock and sourced a expansion tank because I have not put together a spares package for this car yet.
Thanks, Tom Tice.
Yeah, thanks, Tom. And yeah, Pat had gone ahead and started working on this thing and got it swapped out. So we'll be back in action tomorrow.
Yeah, weirdly, I also have one less corner marker.
It just happens.
After Phil took out my car, so.
Sometimes
There's
it's
a few
just
things
that
were
corner
different.
marker's day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't drive this thing tomorrow again. But I don't know. I'm out of a car now. I got no other car to drive this weekend. So
We went to a Friday track day on Friday the 13th, and a bunch of stuff broke.
Weird.
it's all right. Tomorrow's not the 13th.
Yeah.
Tomorrow's the 14th. It's going to be Saturday. It's going to be good weather. Carrie's going to have fun in this thing. We got the expansion tank fixed, and
tomorrow will be the first day I drive my car.
yeah. I'm pretty bummed. I wish Carrie could have gotten to drive this thing because I thought it felt pretty awesome. And yeah, she'll get at it tomorrow.
I want to go do some driving with this thing. I want to
Yeah, me
I wanna
and
be
Pat
in
are gonna
that
have some
thing
fun tomorrow, I think.
next to that thing
Yeah.
and go ripping.
E36s, baby.
E36 boy. What else we got here?
All right, what else we got? We got the Birdman's Parkhouse Auto Storage E46 M3. We got the BimmerWorld DE46. This is the Employee Street Track DE project, just the overall fun car. We got Jonathan Kazee, product development, his E36. He's out here doing his thing. And we got the man behind the camera, the Mr. E36 himself, flared out TI, swapped. This thing's awesome. But for real, we got a whole crew. We also got the M2 over there. And yeah, we got a whole crew here this weekend. Already really enjoying, even though we've had some technical difficulties on the day, we got a whole weekend ahead of us and looking forward to hanging out with all of our BWCCA friends throughout the entire weekend. Got us a little lunch break. Carrie always with the spread, bringing it on. We got some Jerry Chan delicacies he brought us too. Don't know what those are, but I'm excited to try one of them things. Looking sweet and tasty. There's the one that gets all the bus prep and food things ready. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, Carrie. It is Saturday. The day is getting moving along. We are at lunchtime right now, but I haven't really done an intro on what we are doing this weekend. So we've got the bus out here. We've got the M2 out here. We've got a whole crew of people from BimmerWorld out here. We've got the bus representing Optima, as we just did some Optima RV lithium batteries in that thing. The Optima batteries are powering the bus right now. Actually, we got Optima stuff in everything. We got a Clarios battery in the M2, an H5 in the E36 and Carrie's E36. We got a D35 in David's E46. We got, I believe in, I don't know what's in the DE46 actually, but I know it's an Optima. And then we got an H5 and an H5. So we are loaded up on Optima batteries this weekend. Of course. Carrie's E36 making its way in. I just saw her parked over by the officials area, so not sure what that was about, but gonna find out here in just a second. All right, you got a couple sessions under your belt now. What's going on?
Car feels good, but apparently my brake lights are staying on, so they let me know that at the end of that session, thankfully, but we're gonna have to fix that.
I'm gonna take a peek at the brake light switch, see if it's misadjusted. We'll take a little look at that.
My mechanic obviously missed something.
Say what?
My mechanic obviously missed something.
Gosh, who are you hiring?
Yeah, how much did you pay for labor for that?
$0.
I gotta get looking at Carrie's car and figure out this brake situation.
All right, we're here with the Wurzes.
The Wurzes, it's
How
us.
we doing, the Wurzes?
We're doing great. The weekend is winding down, and overall, I feel like it's been a decent weekend. I think maybe Carrie has one more session left or so, but yeah, how's your new whip doing?
I like it. It's good. Car feels good. Feel super confident. Looking forward to phase 2 with the seat that I'm not squirming around in.
Yeah, you've been sliding a little bit in the 3-point belt and stock seat.
Yeah, so that's been an adventure, but honestly, the car's been fantastic. I've really loved driving it.
Yeah, this was just kind of well, certainly a lot of track car prep work, but was kind of a qualification phase to see if you even enjoyed this thing, right?
Yeah, love it.
Good. So, what's next?
Tell me, mechanic. Seat?
Yeah, I think now it's time. We actually have, realistically, most of the driveline, suspension, all the things legal for Spec E36. So now it's strip this baby out, get a cage in it, get the safety stuff up to speed, and I don't know, maybe Carrie's racing VIR spring CCA race next year.
Shall see.
We shall see. So stay tuned for updates on this thing as we are going to be cracking into it more over the winter. Best way to do that, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and of course, leave us a comment. Tell us your thoughts on this project and whatever else we have going on. I don't have my mics, but what were you doing that time, Carrie? Were you feeling it?
I was feeling it.
Carrie had a lot of fun coming in that last session. She stayed out for one more, and yeah, she was zooming. She had pretty clear track.
Yeah, not having to manage so much traffic was amazing. So I was able to get some good laps in. Felt good.
Awesome way to end the weekend. Back at home base after the weekend. Got a few days since the events, and want to see how you feeling about how that event went, Carrie.
It was pretty good. First time shaking down the car, so I love driving the car. It has been a while since I've been on track. I've been following around Mr. I just won 7 races here all year. So it's been over a year since I've been on track, believe it or not. It's crazy. So I knew that I was going to have some cobwebs to shake off. And it's the first time that I've ever driven this car. So I feel like it took me, a session or two to get out there, just kind of figure out how to drive the car. But honestly, like, pretty much out the gates, it felt amazing. Like, it was super balanced. It was set up really well. It didn't take me long to feel, pretty confident and kind of let loose out there.
Well, props to whoever put that thing together.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty good job.
So, all right. Car felt good. I thought it felt really good. And decided to go ahead and take a little peek at some data that we got going on. And turns out, Carrie, how'd that data look, Carrie?
I think I was faster than you.
She was. She was. Yeah, I think that's actually amazing. So yeah, Carrie was faster than me by over a second, actually.
Okay. Phil and I have been doing track stuff together for like over 10 years now. And I've been married to Mr. I'm Good at Everything for how many years? 9 years?
9 years.
I
remember that, by the way. Apparently she did not.
I've been waiting a very, very long time for this. And I mean, the weekend's done. So you can never take this away from me. I was faster than you.
And I'm extremely, extremely proud of her for being faster than me. I've actually been waiting for this for a long time. I am thrilled that she was able to get some speed and just the comfort. I mean, that last session she had in that car, clearly she was feeling it and having a lot of fun. So awesome. And what's next? We got to get this thing caged, and Carrie's going to go racing.
I'm excited. I'm loving the car. It just feels awesome, and I'm excited.
Yeah, she's talked about it a chunk since we've been home, and yeah, she clearly loves that thing. So I think this is going to be a great, great car and platform for hard to not love an E36. So
And also, just in case you missed it, I was faster than Joe.
she was faster than me. She... See what I got to deal with? Now our head's getting big. No, but awesome. Love that you're faster than me, and yeah, we'll have more updates and see if Carrie continues to get even faster.
Maybe, probably not faster than you ever again.
I think she might be.